Is this room burning? I didn't. So I don't call this meeting to order. Regular meeting, MSRAC. So the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the June 13th, 2025 regular meeting.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Joanne.
Oh, great. There's just one typo on the minutes.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I had to find it. It's on, it's under 65 Main, number 3 on the second page. The Board of Directors is misspelled.
oh, yes.
Shame on me.
It's spelled B-O-R-D with a missing A. Okay, we should make that correction. Anybody have any other comments?
So shall we repeat that I will make the motion to accept the minutes with that correction?
That sounds good. Can we have us another second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as corrected with the typo?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and an abstention. Number 3, correspondence.
Well, do you want to talk about this, the stuff from UConn? Otherwise,
I think I put that on the agenda.
okay. Yeah, so I would say that that's the only correspondence.
Okay. Number 4, citizens' comments. Citizens in the Zoom room.
There are not.
And you have Robert, but I think you're going to talk about 630 Riverside Drive, right? So we can perhaps wait until we get to that portion on our agenda.
Sure.
You can update us on the progress there. That would be great.
Yep.
So 5, committee business, the Connecticut DECD Community Investment Fund grant projects.
Here's Bernie.
We have Tristan on the Zoom room to update us on Freeman's progress on the design of the various projects. So if you want to go ahead and
You need,
give us an update.
let me give you screen share in case you need it. I always forget to do that.
The Swanson plans.
Where is it? Swear to God. Oh, no, it moves around. Yeah, but that's for me to do it. And they'll give-
Can everybody see that?
Coming up. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Tristan Walls with Freeman Companies. Not much of an update on the Main Street side of things. Tyra and I actually caught up this week and just discussed timelines and also re-engaging the DOT on the Riverside Drive intersection modification and some of the treatments there for the deliveries and things like that, and access to the drive that's somewhat inaccessible to deliveries. So I'm going to re-engage the DOT soon on that, and hopefully we can get them to commit to reviewing the plans now that the funding components of it have advanced enough at this point. So that would kind of dictate most of the timeline in terms of getting the bid. When Tyra and I spoke, we discussed trying to target kind of the end of the summer as a target, knowing the DOT can sometimes take a little bit of time. And if there's actually a site visit or anything that's needed, I'll let the committee know and Tyra know as well, just in case we need to bring anybody else into the fold on that. In terms of Swanson, I think that was on the last MSRAC meeting, which I didn't attend. I apologize. My colleague Yanin received some comments, so we made some modifications to that layout and the trees or vegetation that we're proposing out there with dogwoods and serviceberry that seemed to be the approach that the committee wanted to take and the town wanted to take. So we've updated the plans, as you can see, kind of in this area. I don't know if everybody can see my mouse, but we've worked the path around some of these, trying to maintain as many of the existing trees as possible, and then added in some of the new trees designated for as as discussed with the dogwoods and service berries. So not much of an update in terms of that. At this point, if that's the bulk of the comments, we'll end up finishing these plans out for of course bid documents, and then we'll keep advancing the Main Street plans for bid documents as well.
Where's the flagpole now?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Where's the flagpole?
The flagpole, Tristan, we've
The
only got.
flagpole. Oh, I'm
Andy
sorry.
in
Yes.
the room.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So the flagpole will be centered
Okay, got it.
Just a quick question.
in here.
He was wrapping the sidewalk around for the existing trees.
Yes.
That's existing oaks, whatever there,
Sugar maples.
the sugar maples that. So. Does any of those have to come down? Have you had a look at it with ours?
Yes,
Some does.
actually, I think they have it turned off. Yeah. Yeah, there's an 18-inch, I think it's, see that one that says 22-inch tree? And there's an 18-inch
Yeah.
here that was in very bad shape. So that did enable the curve around, yeah.
Hey, Joanne, could you
Yeah.
either mute or turn off your radio in the background?
Oh, you can hear it. Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
So I I don't know if there's any other comments or thoughts on the Swanson layout, but if there are, we'll receive those and make any revisions that may be necessary. The next steps on Maine probably be a follow-up conversation. Janet, maybe you and I and Tyra can discuss, I guess, some of the insulation of the drainage. That would probably be one of the items that may need a little more feedback in terms of site phasing. It could be something that kind of leads into the bidding components of things, as we'll kind of have to decide how we want to phase the drainage installation so that we keep as much of it online at any given time, so that we're not impacting during, if there was a storm event or something like that during construction. But we have some thoughts on those, but we're gonna try to flush them out just so we can maximize how much drainage is intact at any given time to an outfall. So I'll have an update on that probably at the next meeting, just so that I can share it with everybody else.
That sounds good. I'd also be interested if you could forward me the calculations for the sizing of the stormwater quality basin.
Yes. Yep.
And, just that one sheet, what your design is in the calculations, I'd be interested. in
Yes,
knowing.
absolutely.
Thanks.
All right, we'll do.
Does anybody have any questions on any component of the project? See how's that look, does that look?
Closer. They're dealing with reality.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, well, thank you very much for your presentation.
Much appreciated.
We will
No problem.
look forward to hearing that the DOT are reviewing the project soon.
Yeah, oh, and just,
Absolutely. That is the hope.
for your sake, Tristan, and the conversation we had the other day, so I did talk to DECD about getting the amended financial assistance proposal so that I could sign it and therefore get it to you.
Yep.
So my project admin there says early next week, I should have the amended copy, assuming that they have made the changes to the document that I asked for, which is the whole reason I've been waiting for it. I should be able to sign that immediately, send it to them, and I'll also forward it to you at that time.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good. All right. I
Okay.
appreciate the time, everyone. Thank you.
Item B under committee business, River Mill update.
So I've been in, I think since our last meeting, must be since our last meeting, I've been in the mill a couple of times with Gumpert's local property manager, Dean. So Matt Lizet, who's been here before, is essentially going to be the property manager collecting rents from the existing tenants, but the local daily maintenance and basic cleanup of the building before the work starts is this guy Dean, who incidentally has a food truck there on Mondays and Fridays, if anybody wants a hot panini. But I was in there once with him and Gumpert, just to talk about logistics, and then I went the following week with John Knoll and Jamie, and we walked a lot of the building. Jamie and John have keys to the building now, or access to the building. Oh, and Pete Folino went on that walk with us too. Pete is our environmental contractor who's going to be doing the hazardous building materials abatement design. So he is also working on that now. He was waiting for Gumpert to send him the existing architecturals. I do not know if that has happened. But I do have a call with DECD, Pam and Wayne on Monday or Tuesday of next week, I think. It's coming up soon anyway, to go back over some of they've come back with flood mapping questions again, which, you know, the last time we talked about it was 2 years ago. So I had to go on a crash refresher. But we're working through that. So, and the attorneys are still working on contract documents. I got some documents back from our attorney. We have to refresh the certified resolution to accept the funding because we amended the amount to $2.3 million over 2 million. But it's all, you know, sort of creeping forward.
Who's the they?
DECD came back to me a couple of weeks ago and asked about how the flood mapping stuff was ever resolved. So I had to go back digging through.
DECD.
DECD does, because there's going to be some kind of permitting that they're going to be pulling, having to do with the 500-year flood plain, which does still clip the northeast corner of the building on the depiction, but J&D had done some elevation surveys that are meant to assist in either, and I can never remember which one is which, Aloma or Alomer, Pam to fill out, submit. It's all stuff, annoying stuff.
When they map, they just have these kind of curvilinear lines, but if you actually shoot the hard elevation of that floor at that corner, you know, it proves what the elevation of the floor of the building really is, not just like the outside ground following a contour kind of thing. It's more accurate. You know, they do the flood mapping, obviously. It's not super accurate.
But it's just more stuff. Still don't have a signed contract, but we will.
And just for the minutes, when you said John and Jamie have keys to the building, for anybody who doesn't know, it's the building inspector and the fire marshal.
Right. Yes, yes, building inspector, fire marshal have access to the building.
Sean Donahue.
He's long. He's long.
It's been around
Yeah.
long.
I will tell you, I have now been in portions of that mill that I had not previously been in, and I'd only been in the relatively nice portions because we've done, you know, the walkthroughs with the electeds and everything, and that's always what we show them. I have been in some of the scarier parts of the mill now. There are places where the floors are like choppy seas. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But still, you know, to be expected. And I've seen where the hole in the roof is, which is both worse and not as bad as
Which section of the mill?
closest to the road. A few months ago, a section of the roof caved in from water. I don't know how else to describe it to you. It's actually sort of a wing off one of the areas that has been
Closest to 12.
closest to 12, closest to 12.
Because you had where the office used to be off the 12 there. across from the church.
Not far from there. Yeah, it was a flat roof.
No.
A flat roof that was puddling water and came.
All right, well, thanks for that update. And the next item, which I did forward you guys the email correspondence from UConn. Every year they look for design projects. There were some examples in that email of other projects they had done. And I guess they're asking if we currently have a project that we would like to sponsor.
Is this
Basically, I beg your
Is
pardon?
this highly competitive to get one of them, or they're short on projects?
It's
particularly?
moderately competitive. We've done it in the past. We had, yeah, we have done quite a few in the past. They do end up being kind of more work for us in some ways. But I actually liked the one for the 6:30. I thought those kids did a good job. You know, they had come up with some recreational options for the non-developable space. It's really, it's free to municipalities to do it. There used to be a small fee, but they've waived that for years now. So if anybody has a super interesting project that they'd like me to submit for consideration, it just has to be by like mid-August. The body can make their choices. I don't have anything, which I told them, so I'm leaving it up to you guys if you want to pursue that. Yeah, like that.
Could that include something, that Joe Tasic might have for?
The same year that we did the 6:30 site design with one student team, I had a second team that went up and looked at the transfer station. My personal opinion is that the student teams don't provide enough value for anything DPW would really need, because they're not engineers. They're, you know, I certainly can run it by Joe, but under our current circumstances, I don't think he's
No.
gonna be eager to deal with
Take on something else.
a student team who needs a lot of hand holding.
We had them do the salt shed years back, where it's, the one was built, and they came up with a few different designs and thoughts.
What about Roosevelt Road? I mean, that's wide open, there's nothing bouncing around for ideas for that.
Well, I mean, it is privately
Right.
owned,
Yeah,
and they
but
do
so-
have their own ideas. They're
Yeah.
they're not moving forward on them
Yeah.
because nothing pencils out for them until this area gets developed and they
Right.
have a potential customer base for what they want to do.
That's why they removed the roof, et cetera, to keep the walls up. The old mill there, next to the river. That was the restaurant area underneath was their initial design. And, you know, put stores and stuff along and then, you know, down the river. But COVID and everything, put everything on hold. Stuff. Like Jared saying.
Yeah, and that is the last conversation I had with their property manager was exactly that. They still want to do everything that they want to do, but unless there's higher traffic counts and residential density, nothing makes any economic sense for them to move forward with those plans, so. We gotta fry the big fish first and then some of the little fish.
I mean, the only other thought I have is there's anything in recreation, like if there's any, any fields that the town
There,
would be thinking of.
there is a possibility with that good, bad, or indifferent up at, 100 acres, that 4 acres that we have up there.
Yeah,
Is-
the open space.
Yeah.
Is that,
We have open space up there that we had gotten many years ago.
Oh, is that the Lillian Ave?
Yes, right at the end of Lily Ave, it's perfectly flat and I asked Joe to do what he thought about brushing it, but I know he hasn't gotten back to me on with everything else that he's going. perfectly flat 4 acres. You can do it.
Yeah.
The drainage is great out there, never gets flooded. We had a problem with the end of Messier Road there, of, the soccer field that needs heavy duty drainage that we had UConn do a study on years ago. We're looking at, $1 million to square that away. So it is feasible, but we do have that over there. Possibly could put a walking track around that, open it up, use the fields, they can fly kites, do whatever, soccer, baseball, things of that nature. There isn't a lot of grading to be done. It would be what type of amenities you could put into that would make it. And that might be a good project since, with that.
I think students would be interested.
Well, if someone who is more familiar with that area could just write up a synopsis of what it is, then I can flesh that out into a proposal for,
Put it together.
yeah, that'd be great.
As far as the train wreck park, that's all pretty much wrapped up.
Essentially, yes. Janet and I have a final meeting with the contractor next week to go over some stuff. But the construction's definitely, the construction's.
And you're not looking for any kind of future expansion or changes or additions.
Because all of the funding that has ever existed to be sunk into that project has now been sunk into it. And there's never gonna be more.
Which is fine. I'm just trying to think of
Right.
other ideas, right?
Yeah, because that, you said that bonded acres is, yeah, what the town's needs are, that's the other thing. Is it gonna be like really passive, just like open fields and walking trails? Is it gonna be pickleball, soccer fields, playscapes? That's something the town would have to give them direction on.
Yeah.
What's that?
On that 4 acres, what, if you want it more passive or you're looking to put in?
I think you just got a heck of a neighborhood up there with the kids and everything,
Right.
over that east section of East Thompson that. You're looking at the amenities we have here, we've got the Little League field, it's all more this way, this side of town. The land is just doing their viewer approach. 3 years ago, about the abutters wanted to buy some of that land
Right.
And a
I think
butter
that's
wanted
how
to
I
buy
became
stuff,
familiar.
that was the problem.
Familiar with
a butter, then the rest wanted to get involved, if that would have happened. It's open
Yeah.
space for recreation use and stuff, so. And like I said, we've got the soccer field that is.
Right.
Looking at what we're going through right now for economics with the budget and everything, it's not gonna be in the future, but something like that over there that's already graded and so forth. Maybe supplying a lot of just labor to get it done. Might be a project that, carved out, so. I'll throw a package together.
Yeah,
Okay.
write me up some kind of summary
Yep.
so that I can put it into the format I know they want. Yeah, that's
Okay, that's great. That's a great idea. Anybody have any other suggestions for a Yukon student project?
Now, we've racked our brains over the years with this program, trying to find different things that we do.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because it does involve a lot of handholding. I wouldn't be inclined to bend over backwards
Right.
to put a project in front of them, but if there is something where there's real utility, then yeah, absolutely.
I don't recall anything that we've ever come up. Been a lot of years.
Lane Bridge, wasn't there something that?
Yeah, that was that pedestrian bridge they were involved in.
The West Thompson. Over there.
Something.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably about the only thing.
that was something they worked on, but of course the Army Corps just did what they, that's the problem. They are a little bit unrealistic. They're not ready to construct. I feel like almost like we're doing them a favor, like Tira said, because of the time that's involved and to give them experience, then they're really giving the towns.
This other type of project. it's
That's right.
recreation,
We're helping.
The recreation type stuff, I mean, those are just figures, dimension, I
Right.
plug certain things in. That'd probably be very helpful, but it'd be more practical to get it done.
Okay,
Okay, then why don't we move on to 630 Riverside Drive. We have Robert here with us, who's been working on this site.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
we'd
it.
love to hear the update and
Yeah.
how the committee can help.
Yeah, lots to talk about, guys. So,
And I have all your images
okay.
loaded and ready to share,
Good.
so let me know if you
All
want
right,
me to call any.
so, yeah, I've spent countless hours on this project so far. I've literally like, and the more time I'm investing in it, the more I'm falling in love with it. And that's probably not the thing to do in real estate, but it is what it is. I really like this piece. So, what we've done so far is, we've had an appraisal done, a commercial appraisal, to reassess the value, based on, what the value is today versus what the cost of the remediation is. So that's all been done. Remediation far exceeds the value of the property, which, we're okay with. We've done that. We have filed, we put the application together for the environmental liability relief program with Tim, my environmental expert. So we've done that. I've also filled out an application, a pre-application with Connecticut Housing Finance Authority. Probably not going to get accepted on the spring round just because we're not shovel ready. But at least you get in the system, they start, looking at the project and putting ideas together, as far as funding is concerned. I met with my structural engineer a couple of days ago. I've been coming up with a lot of different concepts of the site, and I have some really good ideas on a phased out development, which is going to be amazing. My goal and my premise here is to try and save the guardhouse. That is very important to me. I think it's just going to be such a cool project if we could save that. I spent this morning, I was almost late today because I was fighting trees and woods, and finally got myself into the guardhouse this morning. I have some images of the lovely guardhouse.
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so it's not a big piece, but I believe that with a little bit of creativity, I believe that we can bring it back to life. There is a back bump out, which is, you have that half circle there, which is a bigger room in the front, and then the back is a bump out. I'm gonna bring my structural engineer into this building and probably get some people on the historic side to evaluate it as well. Kind of come up with a conceptual idea of what we're gonna do with this building, but for the most part, I mean, the floors are rotted. It does have a half bathroom, which is cool. So, I'm gonna leave it in that location. It's ideal. Also going into the side entrance, there's a staircase there. And once I take title to this, I'm gonna clean it up so we can start really, seeing it, visualizing it. But you have the side entrance, and there's literally these iron railings that you could probably hit with a truck and they won't. I mean, they're phenomenally sound. So that is the side door there where you come into the building, and then there's another door on the right of that, which would go out into the development, which I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. So when you come in, so there would be basically you come in from the side and you can go out through that side. I mean, granted, it's, we're not gonna go start cutting doors into the back. That kind of defeats the purpose. So when you walk in through there, and I'll have this laid out in a floor plan, in the next month or so. When you come in, there's that little circular area there, and then I'm thinking of maybe something along the lines of like a maybe a small cafe, or something that would be where it's not, where you don't need a kitchen, you don't need anything spectacular to do, on this with this piece.
Excuse me, how big is this building? 'Cause it
It's
looks
small.
tiny
It's
from the
like it's
outside.
like
I
it's
know, I
like
can't believe how much is in there.
right. It's cool. Me too. I'm walking it out with a tape measure, like trying to figure it out. Then once I got in there, it was a whole different package. So the exterior is about 16 feet by about 9. When you go inside, it's about 11 and a half feet one side, and about like 9 feet or whatever. And then the back, the bump out is actually pretty big. It's like 8 by 6. So I'm thinking in the bump out, that would be where like the, the cashier is and, maybe something like that. One thing I do have to mention is, I do have I have an offer on another mill, which I can't disclose the address on, it's not here in Thompson, but the architect on that site actually had kitchens that abut the mill windows. So I'm gonna look at those plans to try to get an idea, maybe do something along those lines, because there's windows everywhere and I don't want to get rid of any of them. So, I mean, I think, if you could have a little small cafe there, I think that's pretty much makes sense. Do you want to go to the conceptual? So this is a very, very rough conceptual. All right. So, if you could see over to the left, we'll start one thing at a time. So the guardhouse is over on the left right there where Riverside is. Okay. My vision is to create a community around the guardhouse. What I want to do is I want to do mixed use all the way around in like that cool little, shaped building. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the buildings in phases. So it's not going to be just one large building. I believe that the best economic way for me to do this, to get it to pencil out correctly, is to do it in phases, do, a couple of buildings at a time. The first phase being one of those buildings, we're going to do retail on the first floor all the way around. And basically have this where there's no pavement there. This is more of like I don't want to say cobblestone, but more of like a tiled, or a paver type environment. So you can come out of the cafe. If it ends up being a cafe, we're not sure yet. I don't own retail businesses, so I'd be relying on economic development stuff to try to help bring businesses into town. But on the outskirts of it, what I'm looking to do is retail, maybe something along the lines of, flower shops, anything that's basically in the zoning regulations as a permitted use. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here, which is really cool to me. We have, food and beverage, we have retail stores, we have, artist spaces. I mean, sky's the limit. And what we could do is if we have a little sitting area around the guardhouse, we can also do sitting areas, like if there's like a small restaurant that wanted to go in, or breakfast and lunch, something like that. And this whole little hub here, my vision would be, maybe we do stuff like, an annual, maybe like a sidewalk sale with a fair, something along those lines. Go ahead.
Good. Thinking about the guardhouse.
Mhm.
Any way to tie in with our state tourist district to almost make that a tourist information, a welcome. We're the first town in Connecticut
Yeah.
for fast.
Mhm.
Could be a perfect
Could be,
spot.
yeah.
I mean, I don't,
Mhm.
just the thought.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
That was one thing that we had talked about
Mhm.
numerous times, was maintain that it could be a welcome center. That
Mhm.
you didn't want to see it come down.
yeah, it's definitely something that I would consider for sure. It's all commensurate too on dollars and cents also.
Right.
I mean, it has to make financial sense. I mean, if there's some kind of grant money or something like that, we get our
Right.
fingers on,
Right.
then it makes sense, but I'm all about it, because, you still got to pay to heat it and, electric and all of that, so.
And the two uses can be compatible, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the same
Exactly.
space. A cafe with information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am dying to dive into this pile of rubble, because I have been watching the videos of the tower. It's, you can tell I've spent a lot of time on this. We could call my fiance, I get no cell phone service, which is another thing we gotta talk about, but anyway, she'll tell you, and it's just like 3 a.m. She's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "Downstairs drawing this." It's really cool. So, that's my vision for that idea. So, obviously I have to incorporate residential to make these things financially work. We're gonna omit the top, Riverside Drive, frontage units for now. That's a very wet area. This is something that, can be a conversation later. I don't believe that I don't want to say it either way if that's going to happen or not, but I have some very, very experienced civil engineers that know how to redirect wetlands in certain areas, but let's omit that for now. And let's omit the signage too, because I do have some signage incorporated with Tara and I talked about yesterday, which we're gonna pull out of the conceptual as well. This is very rough, guys, so this is just from my design team. We are working, Tara and I talked yesterday, we're working on getting the actual CAD file for survey that was done back in the day. So what we could do is once I have the building plans of what I'm thinking of doing around the guardhouse, then I could start superimposing them onto the plan and start bringing this to life. The good news is that I got public water and public sewer here, so the only thing, obviously, we have to worry about environmental contamination first, but I don't have to worry about setbacks for well and septic. You know, I have public water, public sewer, so the only thing I have to worry about in the land itself is stormwater retention. I'm gonna be preserving all of the area around the river there. You can see towards the bottom. I do have a walking deck incorporated in that. That's something that can be more of a maybe something we could talk about with improving the town with some grant money or something like that. But you know, we're not even going to worry about that right now. That's just something maybe further down the road. But in order for me to get this thing to work, I need residential units to be put here as well. Those would be a secondary phase. I'm not quite sure. I don't have an amenity count yet, bedroom count, a financial model on that yet, but I've got a pretty good idea. I've got somewhat of an idea of where I'm going to go with that. But the good news is that, for people that don't really want to see residential so much, they're in the back. You're not going to really see them from the road that much. And if we can incorporate somehow the eating area into the development, into the mixed use, it's even going to be hidden even more. And we have room for amenities. We have that whole right side, which is all, wet. Maybe we can do some kind of studies and try to, some soil scientists come in and figure out, maybe there's some usable space there for some greenery. We also have on the south of the existing buildings where the amenities are, we have that old area there. Maybe we can do something that incorporates some type of like staging or, maybe for summer concerts or, sky's the limit here. We have a big piece of property. So it's exciting. It's so cool. And the thing is, I want to have something where I can bring my grandkids by and say, hey, grandpa did that, So this is a big project. And, the thing is, this could be anywhere from a $20 to $30 million project. The way I do my projects is I phase them out. I don't do them all at once. I don't want to have 30 foundations in the ground and nothing's built. So I do them in phases. And I'll be talking with John, the building inspector, about phasing them out, in a certain manner. So, we've talked about that on different projects on phasing them out where they're actually in the same building. These are freestanding, so it's a little bit different. And the good news is that, for me, just doing residential is, I don't want to say boring, but I like the idea of building a mixed use community. You know what I mean? I think once you do that, you tremendously increase your probability of selling unit, whether it's condominiums or rentals. I don't love the rental route. I prefer home ownership, and there's a big state push now for home ownership. There's a massive push here. And I'm also a real estate broker. I've been in the business 23 years. So I've been running comps. I've been studying this market now for the last 2 months, and quite honestly, things are selling. As soon as they come on the market, they're going. So I'm willing to invest the money in that.
You mentioned CHFA,
Yes,
so they get involved in more than just low income housing?
correct. Yeah, so you only need to have for CHFA, if I'm to even use them, I may not even use them, but they require a minimum of 20% affordable set aside. So if I'm going the sales route, the the way it works is the 20% that are set aside for affordable, they have to be mixed into the development where you don't even know the difference. You look at them and you say, you know, whatever. The good news is that the way the area median income is assigned now, and the way, you know, Thompson is, with these being somewhat entry level units, they're not gonna be $700,000 condos, they're gonna be more entry level, you know, first time buyer. Yeah, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, you know, I'm not gonna go obnoxiously big on these. They're gonna be close in numbers, believe it or not. So the affordable list prices versus the market list price is not gonna be much different.
And just to be a little nitpicky on your language.
Yes, I was gonna
We
pick
should
up
not be
on
using the term low-income housing. Low-income housing is a form of affordable housing, but Chaffa deals with affordable housing, and affordability starts at 80% of AMI. And in most places, 80% of AMI is your school teachers,
Yeah.
your firefighters, I mean, not that we have professional firefighters, but you know, if we did, it would be your cops, it would be your firefighters, it would be your
maybe.
your pink
maybe
collar,
municipal.
maybe municipal, your pink collar work.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what
yeah.
it's meant to capture.
I have a
And then you
question.
can go down to very low income ratios.
Section 8.
Well, section
No,
8
that's
is different.
subsidized, that's different.
Section 8 is a different program. That-
But yeah, subsidized, that's kind of what I was picturing
Yeah.
when I asked about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, and that's
my,
why we need to not use that language, because that's not generally what any of our projects are talking about. Any project that has more than 10 units residential proposed, I'm asking for a minimum 10%, so 1 in 10,
Right.
affordability set aside. Other than that, I don't care what that threshold is, if it's 80% AMI, 40% AMI, 25% AMI, I think those are the, I think those are
it
the
works. Yeah, if you're,
staggers.
if you're doing an 830G application, which is 30% affordable, you have to have 15% at 80%, 50% at 60% of the area median income. With CHFA, they only require 20%. Now, realistically, you know, if I'm doing these in phases, and if I'm successful and I want to get them up faster, CHFA is not going to work for this project, because I'm going to basically be using either bank money or hard money, what they call hard money, which is, you know, we're higher interest, but we want to get them done faster, you know, so. A lot of moving parts here, so it all depends on the financial model and how these things pencil out. I've got a pretty good feel for construction budgets on these so far, because I'm doing comparable units in other areas of the state. So, and it's not really, you know, construction doesn't really change much throughout the state, whether in Fairfield County, Thompson, Hartford, you know, it's all comparable. 2x4 is the same amount.
It's the labor.
It's the labor, but yeah, I know how to GC and you know, get these things to pencil out right. I look at it, I look at the designs, I make sure that the structural engineers stay in check. They don't do too much. Everything's code compliant, but you know, basically, what's the right term? I'm very aggressive when I try to keep my costs down, you know, to try to build, but you know, everything's code compliant, and, you know, obviously, my architect's also a licensed structural engineer, so he stamps everything and John would look at it and be more than happy with all my designs, so. No big runs, mostly, you know, 2x10, 2x8, 2x12 construction. These would have units on, the units that you're seeing there, they would have a residential unit on the bottom floor and residential unit on the top. So there would be stacked units, so, and we could do those, you know, a couple at a time, you know, just keep the project going and moving. So I would be the listing agent, you know, because whenever and I've done this before in developments where I would list a project with a realtor, and they don't want to talk to the realtor, they want to talk to the builder. So I list everything on mine, and it just, you know, it helps me save a few bucks too on top of it. A lot of work, but it's, you know, I'm interested to get a little bit more information on the guardhouse now that I gotta start digesting it. So I was literally in there this morning. Hopefully I got no tips. But that's why I'm dressed like this. I usually dress a lot better. So sorry.
Here has strong connections to our tourist district.
This is true.
Sitting on the board, so.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get that rehabbed and make it a tourist attraction somehow, I mean, I'm all for it. Once I get into the pile of rubble and I see what's there's some things that were associated with the collapsed tower that I want, that I'm gonna try to find and try to incorporate into the guardhouse.
Got plenty of brick.
Plenty of brick. Yeah, I took one. I got one in the car, actually. Because what I want to do is I want to have the exterior facades. I mean, it doesn't pencil out to create them in brick. However, I'm hopeful. I can't promise this, but I'm hopeful to try to do something where, yeah, it's something along the lines of this, where it blends in with the mill district type, with the black windows and black doors, so on and so forth. So, yeah, any questions?
I have a couple, but I'm gonna give some other people some.
Again, this is very rough conceptual. There's so much that's gonna change with this. It's forever moving. Once I get the CAD file, as you know, once I get that and I start putting my floor plans on it, things are gonna change quite a bit. There might be a lot more space that I'm missing. There might be a lot of less impervious surface, because I was talking to multiple people about this, and I think I can minimize some of the impervious surface. That impervious surface means pavement.
Well, I'm pretty sure I have a CAD
Hmm.
that I can forward to you.
Oh.
I mean,
You do?
yeah, I'm pretty sure, because years ago, you guys probably remember when CNE was doing all that stuff, we were like, well, the town's paying for it, you need to give us the CAD drawing.
Oh,
So I'm sure the
'cause all-
town has it in the town records, but I'm pretty sure I got it.
What
I'm pretty sure
I
got it.
have are the PDFs, so
Oh,
I
no,
don't,
got-
yeah, I don't.
I'm 90% sure I have the CAD one, so I can forward that.
please.
Awesome.
That would
Well, we
speed
have
me
to
up
get-
tremendously.
Yeah, we thought to get that off the CNE. But
One,
okay, so it'll be done.
one thing before I forget, I just wanted to mention that, I'm working amicably with the owner of the property now. Him and I've had some really good conversations. He's had enough of the project. So what we're doing is, we're going to do a friendly foreclosure because there's a pesky mortgage that's sitting around that mortgage, the company's no longer in business. So in order to take title, I have to get rid of them. So in order to do that, I have to foreclose. So that's what's happening. And my counsel and his counsel have already talked, and yeah, I have experience in that field.
So you still will be dealing with the dam and the study from CME that our Brownsfield.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Stuff
yeah,
that
yeah.
is, like
The
the island.
dam is not the same property.
The dam is on the other side of Blaine. So I have the river.
The dam was separated from the rest of the property. I don't know when, but they are not the same parcel.
So who owns the dam?
Andy Scott.
Andy Scott,
Still,
Yeah.
but they're separate parcels.
they are separate parcels.
Yeah, and we're, I was looking at a lot of, so the phase 1 through 3 environmental reports are about 1,100 pages. Crazy. You look at it, it's like, it's crazy. But there's a lot of images on there, and there's a lot of images, because right now it's all overgrown. It's really tough to really get a feel for what's going on over there. It's a lot easier to do it when it's, winter months, when the leaves are off or whatever, but you have to literally fight through this property to even walk 20 feet into it. It's so overgrown. But anyway, there's a lot of, there's like a tail race, which is like how they diverted the water for energy purposes, I believe. I don't know if you have, you probably, you would have, it'll take you forever to go through that phase, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You probably remember there's an
definitely.
island.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
island, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out what the historic significance of that is, if any.
Of the island,
The island
that was
and,
a machine shop for the mill.
oh,
Yeah, but there's nothing on it now. It's,
No, there's
Other
nothing on
than the contamination.
Right.
Back then, the town was told when we were finishing that up, that would be one of those pieces of property that is, don't touch it.
Oh,
Leave
yeah,
it in
yeah,
its
yeah.
natural
Yeah,
state,
right.
so you don't have to clean it up until it.
Yeah, I don't want, I have no plans on doing anything near that river at all. Like, I'm leaving that alone. It ends up being so expensive. Plus, at the end of the day, I want to try to preserve as much as I can. I mean, there are some collapsing, walls and stuff like that around it. That's why I'm trying to figure out if once we clear it and get an idea, then I could start really, looking into that part of it. But yeah, the dam is not on this property, so.
This, I would chalk this up to being very close to hearsay, but I do think that the Blaine Road Dam is one that people might be interested in decommissioning. I think it's one that wouldn't have a lot of consequences to decommissioning. But that is like one step above hearsay. That's just from some very casual conversations that I've had. So I wouldn't put much weight into that. But if the concern is, what do we do if the dam fails? I think that dam could probably go away.
I believe, didn't CME back in the day do a study on the dam?
I think they did they had some students do some structural analysis on those stone retaining walls, I think on the island and,
No,
the side of the mill.
I think if we look back, we'll find that CME did look at the dam.
Yeah, maybe.
Let me
I
take a
don't
look.
recall that.
I can
know
pull
they did
this up.
structural walls
Because they were
more
looking
near
at,
the mill.
because they were looking at the sediment and everything else that would be
Yeah.
going through there.
Yeah, we have, we could pass around the reports too, for everybody to see, to apply. I mean, it's, to print it out was, forget it, it would be, five packs of paper at this point.
Yeah, above and below the dam.
But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm open to input. I'm easy to work with. You know what I mean? I really, obviously at the end of the day, everything, whatever we do together has to make financial sense. It's, the last thing I want to do is lose on a project. So, but, I'm open to suggestions, and that's why I'm here, and that's why.
Well, since we know Connecticut is either the most or the second most constrained housing market in the country, I don't think you're gonna have any trouble selling the units.
I think so either.
Janet, you had a couple of things I thought.
Well, I know that, the liability relief program you talked about, could you tell us more about that? And I think, are you guys looking for some kind of a letter of support for your application for
Yes,
liability relief?
yeah, so Tim Myjack is, as you know, Tim is from ACAG. He's looking for like a pathway to ownership letter and a letter of support for the liability relief program, because you need that. And he's adding in all the conceptuals and all that as well. So yeah, that's gonna go in with the application, and they have 90 days to approve the application. So what we're gonna do is, not to veer off a little bit, but it's all tied in. We're initiating the foreclosure and doing that at the same time. So these should all kind of match timelines together. My hope is to get my fingers on the project before the end of the year and, really start moving.
So is this through DECD, this liability relief? or
Yeah,
is
do
that-
Connecticut Brownfield.
So it's cleanup liability.
So basically, if anything else is impacted outside of the site, I'm not responsible. And, the DEP will, come in and help with that. So,
But that's the piece that the LEP does, which is Tim, and he's not available here, so.
right.
Okay.
Right. And he would be, he's a very hard worker, but he's got a graduation part too.
So he's gonna forward to the draft.
Yeah, I have it here. I already have it.
Okay.
Yep, so let me see.
Yeah. So go ahead and forward it, so we
Sure.
all have it.
Yeah, it's pretty extensive. He did a great job on it. Very pleased.
One of those things that there should be like a letter of support from officially the town, like maybe the Board of Selectmen as well, as on this committee.
I don't think that there's any limits. So it's like when I do the grant applications and I get as many letters of support as I can. I think if the community-based volunteer committee that specifically works on mill revitalization makes a statement, I think if the Board of Selectmen make a statement, I can certainly write a separate cover letter myself, that's easy. I think all of those things, what the state agencies want to see is that there's buy-in. So the more buy-in you show, the more favorable it is for an application.
Yeah, and the fact that they're already invested in this is good too.
That's what helped us with.
So what do you guys think about MSRAC writing a letter of support for the liability? In favor of that?
Sounds like a
You need a
motion and a
motion?
vote to me.
I'll make a motion that, what am I saying? Committee or you would?
I can write it on behalf of the committee.
Okay.
Okay, we have a second.
Thank you.
Okay, so
All in favor?
all in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any opposed?
Just on principle.
I got to develop some more. It's very aggressive as far as number of units and flow. Impressive.
It is, it's also a 33-acre site. You know, there are plenty of ways to, now, it's all, once I get, like we said, once I get once we get the CAD file, and you know, I'm happy to hear that we have that. We're gonna start laying this out a little bit better. You know, this is just basically off, you know, and maps and some measurements from the surveys that I've seen online. So this is just, you know, very rough right now, but once we start getting that in there, it's gonna be a lot different. And it's all commensurate too on Teslas. You know, we have to, you know, take the soil and see, you know, where stormwater retention is gonna go and all that. You know, that's an engineering.
Question.
Sure.
My comment was that there were a lot of floodplain there.
Yes. On the right side, there is floodplain plus wetlands.
Yeah, if you look at it in the parcel map system, this is all wetland. There's some farm soils here, and then the floodplain does mostly impact here, not so much here. I believe that's because of the elevations, because this is higher up. But this layout does more or less match up. If you throw the layers on in parcel maps, this is more or less where your clear to build area is.
Yeah, I think when the CME had done, it came up with between 10 and 12 acres that we felt was buildable.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to see what UConn came up with too.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could send that to me, that'd be great.
And also, as Janet has occasionally reminded me, really what you can't do is put the residential stuff, like the apartment units on the first floor, you might have to lose some on some of these, right?
And
put-
that's where you got garages, yeah.
Right, put garages. So there are options that make areas buildable in floodplains. And not do is put somebody's bedroom underwater.
Yeah, you gotta keep all the mechanicals up. You know, just have parking.
It, looks like there's about 200 units there. Is that kind of what you need to make this work?
No, I could reduce it. You know, it's all commensurate on the soils and how it lays out, you know, and that's an engineering question. So, the good news is, you know, I mean, it is a big site. So, you know, if, we're doing well, I mean, we'll keep going, you know, I think, it's all gonna be relative to the amount of retail I can get into, because, you know, like, you know, what do you say? Retail equals rooftops, or rooftop?
Roof,
Yeah.
retail follows rooftops
Retail follows rooftops, exactly. So I mean, you know, the more of a community I can build here, the better chance I have of, you know, being more successful with more units. So, you know, people want to be around fun, you know, civilization, fun, you know, and, you know, whether it's restaurants, bookstores, stuff like that, you know, this is a really cool project, and the amenities too, you know, I'm thinking of, you know, like a little community room in there. You know, it's something where they could have parties, you know, this would be its own development, separate, you know, there's no public roads here, nothing to plow, you know, this is all an association, so.
Terry, pan out a little out. I'm curious what the access is in relation to Route 12 with Lane Road. How many points are there in and out for a rush, you know, morning when everyone's leaving to go to work, you know?
Yeah, I believe.
I see 3.
Yep, yes, we have multiple forms of egress, so, right now there's 3, however, you know, I may be inclined to stay off of having access onto Riverside Drive, just because of, for getting the state involved and all that. I do also, if it's all commensurate too on the fire marshal, being able to turn fire trucks around and all that. So we do have another forum up top, where the buildings are. There are other access points that I can potentially do there.
And
Right on the bend.
I think you could easily get an
Yeah,
access.
right there. It just, once you start doing, long runs of, pavement, it gets expensive. The numbers start adding up pretty fast. So we have 3 forms of egress here now. What's gonna happen too is, as this is coming together, I do constant meetings with the building official, fire marshal, I continuously show them as it's coming together. So I don't just put something together and just throw it in front of and do a public hearing. I take my time, and get input as much as I possibly can, to put my best foot forward, so.
Honestly, as I'm looking at this, I think you probably do want to accommodate for an access here because of sight lines between 200 and coming around 12 on the bend here. So even with these 3 access points here, there's a lot of sitting at this intersection in the morning for folks. So this one's a little bit away from the.
Once,
most
yeah, so
choke
if
point.
you go up, so the way it would work, just to talk it out as far as phases are concerned, the first phase obviously is guardhouse, retail, residential, and then working our way towards the right. So, we start with that access, and then as we're doing other units, then we can start, popping into Riverside on that side if we wanted to, so.
I mean, the Blaine Road, access there, we just redid that intersection.
Yes, and this accommodates for the new profile.
Yeah, because that does not show what's there currently.
And neither will the CME auto pad, because that would have been before
Yeah,
That is,
yeah, that's before, and
Oh.
and what I would be forwarding, and it's like 8 years old.
and the only other question that I've got is, we've got the Eaton area up in the top left-hand corner. Where we have a street there that loops around. Circuit court? No, circuit court's across.
This
the
is
street.
Circuit Court. This is Park, I think this is Park Street, and this right now is a playground. And what we've discussed in the past is, I've always actually hated this playground because to me, this is a rolling ball hazard.
big time.
It's not just a playground, it's an actual basketball court.
Mhm.
Relocating the playground somewhere else here, which would make this more open for, again, more seating, or if you wanted to even eliminate this
Yeah,
This
that's
pull
what I was
through.
thinking, yeah.
to connect the 2 areas so that this access on Park essentially becomes just still publicly owned, but a private access for these 2 apartments.
Mhm.
You've still got your ingress, egress here. Takes away some of the pavement.
Yeah, it's a lot more I have to work with too, what I mean, it's a good.
No, my question is, I was always under the impression that never looked at the maps before, that was town property for the park.
It is. It is. So we would have to negotiate this piece.
Well, but he has that, okay, I'm just.
Yeah, because we've been talking about a
Yeah,
casual.
no, that- I
Yes,
realize
yes,
that.
you're correct. You're correct.
That is
Absolutely.
not proper.
Yeah,
And I guess, the thing that I would like to say, speaking to what Steve said, I can tell that this is very preliminary, and it's just unlikely, given terrain and everything, that everything would end up all cookie cutter like that.
right.
And there probably will have to use. So I don't think, in my mind, if the MSRAC supports the liability relief program, we're not saying that we endorse this configuration. This configuration wouldn't even be mentioned in a support letter. It would just be for anybody to develop this property. They have to have liability relief. And the whole reason why this committee was started was called the Building Board Settlement Improvement Committee, which is what I would mention in my letter. So it's not an endorsement in my mind.
Of the
this
specific design.
Of this specific layout, this number of units.
No, given the support of the redevelopment, that he was there for.
Right. So that's,
It's against-
so that's the thing, that, you know, for years and years, that volunteer committee has been working to get this site redeveloped. And you know, everybody's not gonna be happy with when it's redeveloped. You've got those people who want it to be back in industrial park and commercial. You've got people who want to go, but anything is almost anything is better than. what
Yeah, I
is
mean, it's a pile of rubble right now. It's pretty, it's a big eyesore. And, the thing is, what I do too, just so you know, I always, a lot of developers will come in and do a minimal design and then surprise you and say, oh, I want to do a bunch more. I put everything out there. So this way, if I scale it back, it's better off, you know what I mean? So there's no surprises. So, you know, that's pretty much it. Like I could tell you just up top where Riverside is, that's most likely being omitted. The stretch of units there, that's most likely being omitted. You know, and then we're gonna work our way backwards and see. I don't know. I mean, the wetlands and floodplain can go further into development. Then I'm gonna start cutting units back. But I like to put as much on there as possible, just so I don't surprise people at the end.
And a lot of those conversations, you know, are things that will ultimately happen between me and Robert as we move forward, particularly
Yeah.
like, you know, how are we populating these? What's the plan here?
Mhm.
And the planning and zoning commission will.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, ultimately, they have to approve it. Now, what they approve or don't approve has to be solely based on what is legal. They can't decide, despite their attempts to do so sometimes, they can't just decide that they don't like it and turn it down.
Right.
Because that would be a lawsuit that they would lose, as I try to emphasize to them. But the question is what's being shown legal according to the regulations? That's their only job. I can tell you that the zoning regulations in this district were intentionally written by me to encourage mixed-use development. So this is great for me. I mean, all of those conversations about how do we get small businesses in here? Well, we can't do it without an inventory of buildings in which to place them. So this begins to do that, depending on how this structure gets configured. There's a lot of room here.
Oh, no, you know what? I want to just send you one more thing, if you don't mind. Sorry to take so much time, guys, but I think this is,
No, it's fine.
this is a pretty cool project to discuss.
We've been waiting years for somebody to really.
Where is it? I just want to give you, now, these are very, very, detailed, you know, probably not going to be as elaborate as this, but I just want to, let me send you this, Tara. This is uses. I wanted to give you an idea of how, you know, my vision of what the buildings would look like. So basically, they're going to be, they won't be large buildings with, you know, these massive, you know, they're going to be stacked buildings, you know, done one at a time, where we have, and that first place, we have retail, and then we have one unit above it. So we're just going to go a little bit at a time.
These staff units make more sense than townhouses.
Absolutely, yeah. Because the thing is, you know, when you're doing, well, it is a townhouse, it's more or less. Like if there was a garage underneath, it would be a townhouse. You know, you have the garage, then you have first floor, second floor. My vision is I have retail on the first floor, then there's a second and third floor condominium above it.
Over the retail space.
Correct.
But I'm referring to all the other buildings.
All the other buildings, yeah, they're all gonna be, so they would be residential on the first floor and then a stacked unit on top.
So 3 stories?
3 stories.
Ah,
That's it. That's the max that it's allowed on the zoning. So, and this is very elaborate, so please, you know, I just wanted to give you an idea of what I'm looking at. You know, I'm thinking, you know, outdoor seating with like, you know, cobblestone or like a tile floor or whatever, you know, pavers, you know, with,
That-
yeah, like little seating outside, you know, retail shops, you know, with a unit above. And then those are on the corners, you know, maybe a little tavern, I don't know. It's all commensurate on what businesses want to come here. You know, I'm gonna be heavily involved in the economic development committee as well. I'm gonna start, getting in on those meetings and trying to figure out, because in order to be successful, I need businesses here too. So, if I can't get businesses here, it doesn't really help much. So the last thing I want to do is a 100% residential development. I do those quite frequently, but here I want to do the pictures.
No, we do want to attract business, our outlying public to the center of town.
Absolutely.
They keep the money in town.
Keep the money in town. Exactly. That's why, when I hear about, anti-development and stuff like that, I'm like, well, when you go to the doctor and you get a prescription, you go out of town to go get it. When you go to groceries, you go out of town to go get it. Let's keep the money here. So that's the plan.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Just a little FYI.
Sure.
Many years ago, when I was on that, we had a developer come in who wanted to put a OSB plant. Yeah, which means formaldehyde, it says it's like,
Yeah.
And they were they visited the selectman's office and everyone was all gone home, then they hit the wetland. They had a pool out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If,
That was one proposal.
Well,
I am-
again, going back to sort of changes in the zoning regulations, the downtown mill district that was put together was really always meant to be more neighborhood scale. So yes, you could have a small fab
Yeah.
for something in a small footprint, but first of all heavy industrial uses are prohibited throughout the town.
Yeah.
And then we have on Reardon, we just put the propane transfer station up there. And once Rawson gets done graveling that 10 years from now, that's gonna be a large plot of land that could fit something more intensive. But 10 years down the line, and we also know all of the other attendant challenges, which is there is no public utility access there, so it would have to be something with, even for an intensive use, a somewhat limited footprint or a limited human
yeah.
component.
Is the road access going across the river now that they put up?
Home roads. Discontinued.
It discontinued, but with the new building, is it gone? Is the new building on that Plum Road strip or is
No, the town still has, to
still?
the
has the
north
strip?
of Pine View Courts, we still own,
Right.
which is that road that went. That was discontinued, I think, back in the 30s,
Yeah, but
somewhere around there. We actually did try to do a water and sewer to go underneath the
Right.
feed to the quarry. We couldn't get funding.
Yeah, so, and again, this is a little tangential, but to go to that idea of the public utilities and the, industrial park that was plopped there and the lack thereof. I did include the same provisions for if water and sewer access is there, you could subdivide into small, like 4,500 square foot lots. But in reality, the only people who are gonna have the financial wherewithal to pay for privately a connection is gonna be a larger user. So the logistical pieces to it are, they don't fit together
right,
perfectly,
not to mention bridge
not to
for,
mention
for,
the
for
bridge.
highway access.
Yeah.
That's where the study that we had done with Yukon was the 193 on and off ramps
Right.
there instead of just a left-hand exit. And of course, your main access would be West Thompson Road over the rear. Because Lane Road can't handle it with the curve and everything around. You know,
And
middle of the
the
dam.
bridge that would have to be replaced as well.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it
that's correct.
doesn't make sense to try and make that loop around,
Right.
or you put a private access across.
Another thing too is, well, we're still on 6:30 or did we, we're off?
No,
Go ahead, give us wrap, give us a close.
That was a long,
Give us
long
a
one, huh?
closing
Janet
thought
wants to
and
get to the lake.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry about that. No, I mean, at the end of the day, I have taken a special love for mills too, old mills. We're looking at, a partner and I has a lot of experience in renovating mills. We're looking at quite a bit of them. I wish the mill was still there. Fortunately, it's not. So I gotta just make do with what I have. And if I could save the guardhouse, which I feel good about. I'm not a structural engineer, but there was also, structural people that looked at the tower too. So we gotta just, make sure that everything's perfect there. I'm gonna preserve whatever I can. So regardless.
Thanks a lot for that presentation. Just we could move on to E, if there's any other or new committee business.
Oh, is anybody else gonna go to the Brownfield Roundtable on Wednesday? The one, thank you, Bernie, that you pointed out was not the week I thought it was. It is this coming Wednesday. Free to attend. All you gotta do is register. It's at Putnam Town Hall, 8:30 to noon. I think that I resent the link to you guys the other day.
Yes, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I signed up. I'm going.
Do you have to be there the entire time or can you scoot out?
No, I've been to these things.
Yeah, because I have a meeting, but I may attend that. Yeah, because I have a meeting at 11 o'clock, so I'll go for like maybe the first hour or two.
Well, I guess we should adjourn this monthly meeting of MSRAC and see everybody in August.
Okay, take care, folks.
Don't really need a motion to adjourn.
Just an FYI, I don't know if Tara, I did change my email, the no longer Spectrum.
Okay,
So it's my last name,
yeah, she did forward it to me, but I'm gonna make a note on
my
it.
last name, Ken.
Bosaleken@gmail.
No period or anything in between two names.
Okay,
Just send them to both,
okay,
because sometimes without looking through the town site, I have issues getting stuff there.
I believe the meeting was adjourned at 10:15. I'm stopping the recording now.
Okay, take care.
Bye.